episode 2 of the Variety Show, and I'll talk a little bit more about our guest in a second. Before I get into that, just got a couple announcements to make. Normally I would say live from sunny San Diego, but it's not all that sunny today. As you can see, I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so you might think I'm in, I don't know, Denver or somewhere. But anyway, a couple announcements. This Monday I've got a release coming on Juice Recordings, which helps us do this show and things like that and have cool music. And so that's coming up on Monday. It's with F-Word, and then I have a remix for F-Word. F-Word, guy from Russia. We'll probably have him on the show at some point in the future. And then an event I have coming up here in San Diego with Baby Ann, Omega Squad, and Genevieve, another great local talent. So that's coming up on, when is that, Jen?
I'm not even sure. Is it Saturday or Friday? Like Saturday.
Jen is not in charge of scheduling. Jen is not in charge of scheduling.
February 5th.
All right, thank you. Someone found it. So I think our guest found it, or Kelly did. So yeah, so that's on the 5th here in San Diego at Kava Lounge. Check it out. You can see the invite on Facebook and all over the place. My website is westsmithyo.com. Check it out there. Let's see. Today on the call, we've got Jen to my right. She's here doing tech and taking care of cameras and things and keeping us out of trouble when we smile funny. And then Kelly is out of New York today, officially again, like she was last week. And she's not on a boat yet, but I hear she's going to be on a boat soon. We'll save that story for a future episode. And last but not least, of course, and one more time, I will tell you how I know this young lady. Wait, there's my thing. I will tell you how I know this young lady first before I introduce her. That was the sign introduction. I know Jenny Shu, DJ Shooey Shu from... interestingly, about a year, maybe a little less. I met her through a gig that I did. She had me up for her birthday, this crazy Shenanigans play on her DJ name party that the Space Cowboys did in San Francisco at the Public Works, and it was an absolutely awesome party. We'll talk more about it on here today and a whole bunch of other things related to that and her. But that said, Jen, tell us what's going on. Tell us a little bit about you real quick.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm Jenny, also known as Shooey. I live in San Francisco. I've lived here for about 13 years. I'm originally from Chicago, but I've lived here most of my adult life. And I've been DJing for about 12 years. I met Wes, like you said, last year after a chance email where he got into a little bit of a squabble over an email over whether or not there were guys or girls in the Space Cowboys, and so I kind of stepped up and I kind of saved him from the wrath of one of our the girls in the Space Cowboys.
And so the crazy part about that is, and I don't know, do you have something along those lines coming up, or do we save that for later, or that we talk about?
We can talk about it. We actually have Space Cowboys has two things going on.
Awesome. Jump right in.
The Space Cowboys is going with their super mega awesome music truck called the Unimog, and it's going to Squaw Valley in Lake Tahoe. And the truck plays all day from noon to 6 outside at the bottom of KT-22 lift line. And then we have a party in Tahoe City on Saturday night. It's called Snowfest, and we've been going for many years now. That's the first weekend of March, I think it's 4th through 6th or 3rd through 5th. And then the Space Cowboys are very excited to be bringing Lady Wax here March 12th. And she will also be playing at Public Works, which is the same venue that Wes played at back in July for my 40th birthday. Now you know how old I am. And so, yeah, we're very excited to bring her. What's that?
I said big ups the experience crew.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're excited to have her March 12th. And we haven't really planned anything further than that because we don't have the attention span for that right now.
Is that going to be a Space Cowboy / girl party, or how does that work?
So there's some internal debate in the Space Cowboys group. So we have 10 or 15 active DJs in the crew, and 2 are women. And the idea was originally suggested by one of our DJs, Tamo, to let's have a all women's lineup in the main room. So there's 2 rooms. It's not even a main. It's just the downstairs and the upstairs. And Tamo suggested we do one ladies in the downstairs and men upstairs. And there was some healthy debate that the guys thought it was unfair that they had to play upstairs, and that they're like, well, we would never have a party of just we'd never put just the girls upstairs, would you? Would we? And I said, no. So now that I think that the tide has changed a little, now we're talking about all the guys have to dress like girls.
Oh! Put that twist, like see how bad someone wants to play main room or whatever, right? Oh, that's awesome. I hadn't heard that yet, but
that's a new development. So I usually crowdsource, or the Cowboys will crowdsource the theme or the party name, and that was one thing that came up in the past couple days. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, along those lines, I had a surprise for you, and you mentioned Tamo's name, but I gotta bust out. She sent me this shirt. I think it came from her. The address is from her. So I've been in here melting in San Diego with a sweatshirt on.
Yours is gold and mine is silver.
Yeah, so anybody watches Shooey and I, well, we talk a good bit, but we talked yesterday about the show today, and we were talking about wearing hats from Burning Man, where we've had some experiences together. And so I got this shirt yesterday, I opened it yesterday anyway. I tend to let things sit for like 6 days or something before I open them. But anyway, so fortunately I opened this, and that's what it was. So it's very, very cool. That's you can tell us what that is. Is that the Space Cowboys official logo right there?
Yeah, this is our logo, and it's just called the Space Cowboys avatar. There's actually 2 versions. This is sort of a newer version, and we have another illustrated version that one of our DJs, his name is 8-Ball, Josh. He also illustrated a different one. So we have 2 different avatars, but they get used. Oftentimes the other avatar gets used for flyers. And this one gets used for stickers and other things. So yeah, we like.
While we're on a Space Cowboys roll, as you know, and we've talked a good bit. A lot of the Burning Man, certainly going to it and that aspect of it, and understanding that whole community has been relatively new to me in the last few years. So versus yourself, I think 10 years.
8. Last year was my 8.
And then Space Cowboys. How long? Like maybe just you definitely said some stuff about Space Cowboys, but like I think it would definitely be interesting for people if you're cool to talk about like sort of how they started and that history, and give people a sense of like how long some of this has really been going on with what only recently really has been accessible to watch over the internet or see all this footage and all this stuff.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not going to claim to know the beginning of time for the Space Cowboys. I haven't been around long enough to I wasn't definitely not a part of it, and also not even DJing probably when they started. But the Space Cowboys came together just like a lot of other Burning Man camps do, as a group of friends that camped together, and I think the Unimog came to be born pretty soon after the creation of the Space Cowboys. They've done a lot of crazy things over the years, and I couldn't even tell you. And maybe we should bring one of the old school Space Cowboys on for a show another time.
Awesome.
But I know for sure that they've been around. I couldn't even tell you. I think I'm gonna say mid to late 90s, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for getting it wrong, but they've been around a long time, and there's several DJs that are still, and other people that are still involved with the Space Cowboys, actively participating and going to cowboy parties and participating in activities. So
is that
it's great.
Is that correct? Is that the Unimog?
Let me see. Hold on.
It's just a picture I just.
And if you
I just googled it. So Yeah, Jen's going to focus on it a second, so anybody watching can see what the Unimog looks like. So it's like this super military vehicle-looking thing that's been basically converted to a party on wheels.
Yeah. So if you see that, Wes, if you want to put it back up, I can explain how
I'll put it back
works.
up.
So basically, if you look on
about
the side of that truck, everything has been emptied out, hollowed out in the middle, and those things on the side that are hanging off the side, those fold up like Transformer style back into the truck, and then the doors close around it. And so once those are inside, like nobody can stand inside it.
They look like subwoofers. Are they subwoofers?
They are subs.
They look
They're
like
massive subs.
That's cool.
If you look at the top of the truck, those two speakers are on top. That's right. Thank you for the demonstration. That is, those are raised up by, I want to say it's either hydraulic, and so they get raised up. So they normally sit down inside the truck, and then when we bring it out to play, they come out and get raised up by some machinery, and they rise up against the above the truck. And then the DJ, I don't know if you can kind of see it. There's a little orange. It's a little. No, at the very top, right behind that other speaker. Yeah. So that's actually where the DJ's head sticks out. So,
nice.
Bubble.
Yeah. So we generally have some other auxiliary sound, but that's usually pretty good amount of sound that's coming out of that truck. At Burning Man, what we do is we have a party. Used to be on like Thursday. Now I think it's on Wednesday, called the Hoedown, and they would get the Unimog as the sort of base vehicle, and then they would get a bunch of other art cars from Burning Man to surround, sort of make a horseshoe or a circle, and all of those art cars have speakers on them, and they would get FM transmitters from us, and they will transmit the sound that the Unimog is transmitting. And so you basically have this sort of surround sound circle of music of the DJ that's playing on the Unimog at that time. So it's something that we definitely, I would say pioneered, but definitely made very popular, the FM transmitter concept. So it's a pretty big party that we've had every year, the Hoedown. We didn't really have it last year, but in the past many years, we've had it consecutively, like Wednesday or Thursday.
Cool. Well, so like a little bit onto some of your DJing activities yourself, and I know that a lot of that's been related to Space Cowboys, and you have a very unique, and from what I've seen, clearly not living in San Francisco, but you have a very unique scene there in general, I think, for electronic music. And art and things beyond, obviously heavily influenced by desert parties and Burning Man as it would be, but also coming back outside of Burning Man, proper, as I call it, the actual party in the desert, right? There's quite a bit going on in San Francisco, and clearly some of the large parties that are Space Cowboys doing those. And so I guess one that you haven't mentioned that I'd ask about is like, and I know you just DJ'd at it in one of the big rooms or something at the BOC. So I don't know, maybe that little segue into your DJing and lift off with that party, which was, I believe, pretty recent for you.
Yeah, so Breakfast Champions, also affectionately known as BOC, is our New Year's Day party, and the Space Cowboys have been throwing that for, again, many years, as far back as I can't even remember. But I've probably played it the last 7 or 8. And cool. It happens on New Year's Day, and it has changed venues over the years, but it goes from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m., or as we like to say, when you cry uncle. So 6 p.m. So we spanned like a small, like little brewery all the way to, we used to be at, one year we were at Kelly's Mission Rock for one year, and that we moved venues soon after, and then we were at Mighty for several years, and we actually blocked off an entire city block, and we went from one outdoor stage to 2 outdoor stages, and we also have 2 indoor stages inside the club itself. I think last year we had 7,000-ish through the door, so it's a pretty well-attended party. It's Because it spans 12 hours, you kind of get people coming straight from the New Year's Eve partying. You have some people that go to sleep and do the civilized thing and have breakfast and then come at 10 a.m.
Nice.
You know, some people who, and actually before, when we were at a smaller venue, people would literally get in line at like when the party would end at 4 a.m. for New Year's Eve, and then they would just wait in their cars or in line for an hour and a half, and the line would go around the block, like down the next street over, and people were just so excited to get into Breakfast Champions. So.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
So now we do this block party style,
because...
so it's outdoors, and I'm also active in. We usually invite DJs outside of our crew play. It's not just Space Cowboys, so we have a lot of guests, and we have some headliners. I think this year one of our newer headliners I've never played is Egyptian Lover. But we have had many. We have house. We have breaks. I think a couple of years ago we had like jungle and drum and bass inside Mighty. So we try to span the gamut. And I also have participated in. Well, I've led one of our Space Cowboys. Her name is Andrea. She got the idea of, since we're called Breakfast of Champions, well, why don't we make a food drive? So we started it 5 years ago, and we said, okay, well, why don't everybody bring cereal, and if you give us cereal, we'll donate it to the food bank, and we'll give you a cool sticker. So that started off, and then people forget to bring cereal, so it's not really the first thing you're thinking about when you're walking out the door to go party for 12 hours. So we said, well, just give us money. So we asked people to donate like $1 or $5 or whatever, and then the Space Cowboys decided to match it. So I think in the first year we raised a couple $1,000s, and then the next year we got up to like $5,000 or $7,000. And last year so I have a team of volunteers that we have signed up, and they get 1 hour shifts all day. We have 3 to 4 people on shift all day, from like 6 a.m. until 3 p.m. And we have people heckling, cajoling, forcing, like very kindly asking for donations, and we even say like, give your change in your pocket or give us $1, and Space Cowboys will match it dollar for dollar. And last year we collected almost $10,000 at the door, and so the Space Cowboys, on behalf of Breakfast of Champions, donated about $20,000 to the SF Marin Food Bank. Awesome. And this year we had about $20,000 as well donated to the food bank via Space Cowboys campaign. So it's really great because I'm glad that as an established dance, I guess, participant in the community, I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, that we can actually. Is it a
posse on Broadway?
Yeah, that we can do good things, and that we're not just out there partying and getting fucked up.
like there's something wrong.
Get back to the community.
Like there's something wrong with a 70,000 person party in the desert.
I know there's not, but it feels good to do both. So, and I think
it does.
And I think it's good that we give back to the community because we have so much. Not I won't say influence, but we definitely have a draw, and we should use that power for good. So we do.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of influence, and I know with you and a few of the others, Keith and maybe Captain Kirk and a couple other characters that I've met and talked with a little bit. I mean, you're all very humble about it, which I think is very cool, and I know it's hard for you to kind of big up yourselves, but I'll do that for you because you as well as the crew, because it's clear once you meet even just a small group that there's just a lot of time and effort and love that's been put into like what y'all do now, and I'm sure what has been done over the years. And so hey, maybe one day we'll talk more about that, but it's definitely cool. And I know the electronic music scene as a whole, it certainly benefits from the balance that Space Cowboys bring, and clearly there's some other big camps as well, but they're awesome. So cool. So on that note, you obviously played BOC. That's a big party. And then I don't know, what are a couple of your other favorite gigs recently, or venues that you played, lineups, whatever?
I would say BOC this year was my biggest dance floor. I don't know, maybe 800 people this year I played inside. Other big ones have been Ghost Ship. I didn't happen to play in 2015, but Ghost Ship is a partnership between Space Cowboys and 2 other crews, and it's a Halloween themed party. And I think that's been going since 2008. And there's several stages. The Unimog usually comes, and we have a very large art installations happen. So it's kind of a Burning Man style feel party. And I've played to pretty big dance floors there as well on the stage and on the Unimog, and that's always a fun time because I think it really the reach of what the Cowboys have really kind of expands outside of the Burning Man community because Halloween has a more mainstream impact, impact. And so I think more people, by coming to Ghost Ship, they get introduced to Space Cowboys, which in turn means they get introduced to other genres of music that if they went to a club, they might only hear, I'll call it like mainstream-ish.
That's why we have Jen here. That's why we have Jen here to my right, or Kelly, to bail out guests and just that's just say we actually for anybody watching this, I mean, the cat's out of the bag. We were all sitting here listening to a little bit of Tiesto and some Avicii and stuff, and we all have a little love for all the music, so it's all good.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
Hey, but Jenny, I'm trying to set you up to say that your favorite party was Shenanigans.
Oh, yes. So Shenanigans.
I'm just gonna
yeah, there you go.
That's the cool flyer.
And you're there.
So, that flyer was based off of I was on a BART campaign to promote biking and BARTing to take part in our public transportation here, and one of the public transportation systems in the Bay Area, and someone made a flyer off of that. But Shenanigans was sort of I was like, well, if I'm gonna turn 40, I might as well do it big. And so it was around that time when I started getting the idea, and I met Wes online through the Space Cowboys Facebook page at that time. So I asked him to come headline. But Shenanigans, we had silent disco outside, we had an upstairs room, we had the main room, we had Wes headlining, we had a photo booth upstairs. I had a friend design these.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I got this dusty old thing still.
Oh,
still
yes,
got
you got a
still got finger dust on it. Look at all the dust.
So yeah, Shenanigans was definitely a highlight for not only turning 40, but just it was my first really big party that I planned under the Space Cowboys name, and it brought everybody together. We had 1,500 people through the door. It was probably one of the bigger parties that Public Works has seen, and it was super fun. I admit that I don't remember the last bits of it, and my friends were looking for me, and they couldn't find me, and they kept coming back to the bouncers like, have you seen Shooey? Have you seen Shooey? And they're like, yeah, we haven't seen her. And they're like, well, can we go back in to check? And they kept going in, and they couldn't find me, and they even took my bag because they thought I forgot it. They took it to the bag to the after party, and it turns out I had passed out in the photo booth.
Oh.
So they had to come. One of my friends came and found me, and they brought me to the place where the after party was. But yeah, that was not the best.
Find you.
Nobody could find me, and I didn't have my phone because they took my bag.
Hey, it's your birthday. You do what you want.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. Like, we had volunteer shifts for like signing up to work the door or work the photo booth, and my friend created her own volunteer shift, was the Shooey Wrangler, which is.
I was about to ask because I thought it was a myth, but I suppose it's true.
It's real, and she signed up for the 9 to 12 shift, and I said, "What about the 12 to 3 shift?" And she's like, "I can't handle you for 6 hours." So, no one signed up for that shift, unfortunately.
I signed up for Miami then.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. So Shooey, I'm definitely gonna we're definitely gonna talk a little bit more about music, but because aside from this being kind of a broad little show we're doing, I try to tie everything in one way or another, at least the guest into music. Clearly that's the case here today, so no problem there. But you showed those glasses and the two little, the big O's and these different designs, and the flyer, which I called you out on. Before I say what I'm going to say, I definitely like swing back and you know, I said some nice things, my thoughts about the Space Cowboys, but that party was really monumental to me. I mean, that was really, really amazing. You know that. I've told you that. You know, most people that I know, I've told them at least 10 times. It was a very, it was really cool. It was really cool. It was a great party, and the fact that Space Cowboys, it's not just because it was 1,500 people. The fact that Space Cowboys has this, you know, just passion for the music and sort of the presence they do. You know, I was touring, as you know, and I was doing, I don't know, it was 30 or 40 dates. I ultimately ended up doing some really cool shows, but that was definitely the biggest in North America, between U.S. Canada, and it was you know, and as we've discussed, you know, it's, you know, they were able to bring me there, even though I maybe headline some shows and do these things. At that point, they were able to bring me there and really put me in front of that big crowd, where it might have been a few hundred or something otherwise, and it was just fantastic. So thank you for making it all happen.
That happened that time, because I probably wouldn't be here otherwise. So
yeah, and I connected with a number of people outside Space Cowboys as well, that are, you know, we still talk some music and these things, so really just a great experience. Now, on the bicycle side of things, we're now to our, well, I can't say we're now to our knowledge session outside of music, because we've never actually done this session before. So one of the fun things about only having a couple episodes done is that we really don't know anything yet. So I am going to test your knowledge, though, and I'm going to hold this up and ask you to describe, first describe to everybody what I'm holding up, and then, you know, I don't know, drop some cycling knowledge.
Whoa. Is that like a, that's like a racing, that's like a, what's it called? It's a wheel, first of all.
Yeah,
it's like the wheel, isn't it the wheel they use for the Velodrome kind of races?
It is, yes. Okay. And I am not a cycling specialist, but I do have this wheel.
And why do you have it?
And I brought it in here as a prop. Well,
she has a bicycle right behind her.
Anybody watching that's done any cycling, they'll be like, "Oh man, that's like a fiber wheel like they use in the Velodrome," like you were saying, or you know, these different not cyclocross. I think that's more outdoorish, but
yeah.
Definitely high speed stuff, and the idea is aerodynamics and lightweight and all that jazz, right? So it's you can't quite tell, but if you tap on it, it's very rigid, and there's no spoke.
Have you ever ridden on it?
I have. So I don't have enough room here to bring the bicycle that it belongs to in, but I brought the wheel in. I had a period of time where we're not going to go deep into this, but I had a period of time where I was doing a lot of reflecting, as many people might have had, and I decided that a really good way to focus some of that energy would be to, and free time most of all, would be to get into triathlons. So that's what that came from, is I had a proper triathlon bike and all this stuff, and those wheels are kind of like, you know, in hindsight, they're really like the wheels that they sell you when you don't know anything about bikes, but they think you might spend the money, you know, because they realize that you're pretty sure that you're going to be the next like U.S. Olympic team triathlon guy.
Or you're a sucker.
It was one of the. I was a sucker. It was one of those. It was one of those deals. But I've held on to it for like 5 years so that I could have it on this show with you.
Things I did not know about Wes Smith.
That's right. That's right. I couldn't find my cycling helmet, but I had the wheel. So there you go. Well, yeah, hats are musical. We'll get back to those in a second.
Was there a costume change? Hold on.
Was it a costume change? I don't know. I don't know. Do we do this? Do we hide it while she's changing?
Purple.
Nice.
I like purple.
I love it. Oh, this is awesome. So, well, that's great. What a perfect segue into cycling. I know you're in love with cycling, or you certainly do you do enough of it for anyone to think you're in love with it. So,
I hate it.
I don't know. Give me like a scoop. How many miles a week are you riding?
Well, I do. So, yes, the truth is I do love cycling. So, no doubt about that. I started riding, I don't know, in 2008, but I was just bike commuting, and I was using it as alternate form of riding public trans because I was tired of waiting for the bus. And I went to visit my brother in D.C., I don't know, like in 2009, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna borrow a road bike for you to try out." So we rode, I think, to Great Falls from D.C. and I kicked his ass because I'd been riding so much in San Francisco on the hills, and then I was like, "This is so much better than bike commuting because I don't have to stop. I can just keep riding." And so I bought a road bike soon after that, and I've been road biking ever since. I still bike commute on my beater bike, but I road bike. Right now, I probably do about, not counting commuting, I probably ride like 50 to 70 miles a week. Not
counting commuting.
Not counting commuting, yes. So I really enjoy going up in the hills of Marin County. It takes about 25 minutes to get to the Golden Gate Bridge, and you cross the Golden Gate Bridge in like 10, 15 minutes, and then you've already crossed the border into Marin County. So if you've ever seen my Instagram pictures, most of them are filled with photos taken on my bike rides.
There's shameless self-promotion. I did it for you.
So
those are wheels, right?
That you're showing that logo, because that Shooey logo was created when I first started DJing when I moved here in 2002. I was already in love with dancing, and then when I met a few DJs, and I was sort of like, oh my god, DJs, and then I figured out that everyone in San Francisco was a DJ, so I bought 2 turntables on Craigslist, and then I just.
Then you're like, I love everybody.
I like everybody, yeah. Highest per capita bedroom DJs in the country, probably here. And I taught myself. I didn't have a table. My turntables were on the ground, and I learned how to DJ on turntables on the floor. And that DJ logo was created by an ex-boyfriend of mine. And it just stuck.
I actually never saw this one before, but it's the one I found when I Googled DJ Shooey logo, and so. Unfortunately, on this show, that's all we have to work with, since we just kind of do this right now, and so whatever comes up, it is what it is.
Right.
But those 2 circles are bicycle wheels, right?
They could be whatever you want them to be, Wes.
That's a great answer.
They could be eyeballs. They could be records. They could be wheels. Is this PG rated?
Boobs. Boobs is PG-13.
Boobs, yes. That was the original theme of that logo from my ex-boyfriend was that those O's were boobs, and I'm gonna regret saying this on YouTube.
The most votes goes to boobs. That's the winner.
Yeah, that is the winner.
So what's the difference between a road bike and a regular bike? I'm not really versed in bicycling, so.
Bring it.
So road bike is obviously much lighter, but I think for the most part it's kind of, you have drop handlebars that are curved, and it's a little bit more, you're leaning over when you're biking. The wheels are much skinnier. So I think you would differentiate between like road biking and mountain mountain biking would be thicker wheels, wider wheels. And usually they're up, and you're a little bit more upright. Oh, there we go. The frame is heavier duty, but even nowadays, mountain bikes are even still pretty light as well. So I can tell you that my commuter bike is super heavy, but that's partly just because it's not expensive, and I don't want anybody to steal it because everyone loves to steal bikes in San Francisco. So. I don't take my fancy bike out very much. I only ride it to go. I ride to my destination, and then I do my 60-mile bike ride, and then come home. I try not to lock it outside.
I just do that and I come home.
Just take the wheels off.
I just do that and I come home. I love it. It's just so casual. Outside of cycling, we've got. What was I going to say? I think that was me that turned up the volume and got an echo. I think we're good now. Tennis. What's up with tennis?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't tell me that I play tennis. I play tennis.
My obsession with tennis was when I was growing up. I started playing maybe when I was in 6th grade, and then I played all the way. I played high school. I played competitive like junior tennis over the summers and tournaments. I was never super good. I was good enough to go to some regional tournaments, but I played.
Is that where you get the competitive spirit?
I don't know where that comes from. Probably comes from I have no idea because my mom and dad aren't really that competitive. But I played college at Illinois, college tennis at Illinois. So I walked on there and I played 4 years of varsity tennis there. And then when I got out of college, I was like, I'm sick of this. So I actually burned out a little bit and I just kind of stopped playing after college, unfortunately. I still play with my family when I go visit them in Southern California, but I don't play nearly as much as I would like to, and I also don't like being bad at things. So if I know how good I was before, and that there's no way I could be that good now, then I kind of just don't want to play.
Oh man! Well, we are now to the part of the show where I have somehow managed to find a combined my love for socks and your love for bicycling or cycling.
Wait, let me see. Hold on.
Yeah.
Besides tricycle,
it's actually a big wheel. And then on the other side it says.
Wait, up higher. Up higher.
It says. It's on the bottom. Hold on.
Higher.
But you have to show me your sock. That's the part of this that we do. Right? Go big or go home, baby.
Okay, really?
Awesome.
But really, forget the socks. What kind of pants are you wearing, Wes?
Camel. Is he wearing pants?
I found this brand, like I found this brand. It's like, I don't know where they're from. Obviously, California somewhere. It's called like. Oh, I'll just hold my leg up. It's like there. Yeah.
I think cool.
I get a lot of heat for being colorblind and not having good pattern matching skills, but this is probably
leggings?
Cool.
Wait, patterns are different.
No, they're like pants.
Kind of style?
But I will say they are drawstring. Yes, everybody. Yet another cat is out of the bag. I'm into drawstring elastic pants.
Can you use like those black plastic glasses that have the little slats that go this way?
But you can't. Don't avoid the topic of showing us your socks.
Yeah, we want to see your socks.
Oh, these are lace
Yeah.
socks.
No, socks.
They're yellow. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, yeah.
I don't got much here. I have my wig to make up for everything else.
They kind of match my pants. Okay, acceptable. Dan, do you have better socks today?
I do have socks on today, which is better than last time.
What you got, Kelly?
You can hear.
Woo! All right.
I didn't come prepared. I would have worn better
last
socks.
time Jen had bare feet.
Yeah, that's freezing. It was freezing last time.
Last time she had bare feet.
Yeah,
It was hilarious.
there's no shoes rules in here.
I have a penguin snow sock. Not on my.
Your camera's not on, Kelly.
Can we see
For
them?
some reason, your camera.
We can't. Your camera's off. If you turn it on, we'll see, and we'll have a sock show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My camera shouldn't be off.
It was on earlier. Now it's off.
I didn't do it.
Well, cool. So, hey, I'm gonna well, I can come back to socks if I need to for Kelly, but one thing I did want to talk about while we're on the competitive nature streak is I've had quite a number of conversations. Let's say, I guess my role has been kind of sharing experiences for you in this group that we are involved in with 5 or 6 others, 7 others maybe, that are doing some parties in not Orlando, in Miami for Miami Music Week. So shift in direction, but let's talk about that a little bit. I know, I believe you have some announcements that you want to make related to some of that, or just describe some of what's already sort of publicly available, and then I'd also like to talk a little bit about just kind of some of the music business stuff. I think you have a good handle on business in general. and then apply some kind of interesting things to that. So the events first, fire away. Miami Music Week.
So super excited to be working with you and Omega Squad and Zero Tribe St. Louis, as well as Geo from Project Mayhem in Miami. We call ourselves Coast to Coast Presents, and we are throwing 2 parties in Miami, one on the 18th and one on 23rd at the Congress Hotel. And we are on the 18th. We have Martin Horger, and currently we have confirmed. And then on the 23rd, very excited to have Lady Wax exclusive in Miami all week. She's not playing anywhere else except our party on the 23rd. And nice. We also have Decline playing. Yeah. So that was a great win for us and very exciting news for us to have that party. And we, Wes, I give a lot of credit to Wes in coming up with this idea of putting together a team of people who are passionate about music and passionate about putting together an event, but not necessarily, doing the status quo of what happens in Miami and trying to do everything right and do it well and just do our thing without worrying about what everybody else is doing. And also a lot of credit to Geo for he's on the ground in Miami. He's got all the experience and knowledge locally, and so without him we probably couldn't do that. So yeah, it's super exciting. I've personally never played in Miami, and I've partied there for Winter Music Conference, but I definitely never played there, and so and it's exciting to not only help project manage the putting it all together and working with such a great team, but also have the opportunity to play. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I think the way that all came together, I for me anyway, like I've been kind of definitely in the background in a kind of minority, but I think talking with you a lot about some of that, but also things unrelated to Miami per se, but that also helped out with that. And I guess the tie, like you said, that I was able to connect some really good people, as you mentioned, all of them. They were all people that I had played parties for. They were all people with different personalities and different styles and techniques, also DJing and music taste, bass and house and breaks and glitch hop and appreciation for a pretty good spectrum. And I just felt like they were all good people to introduce. And then this is kind of what's come out of it 3 or 4 months later. So it's awesome. Looking forward to Miami Music Week down there and doing stuff and being part of that. So it's cool. Awesome. All right. Well, that's big news going on there with some more upcoming events. Sweet. What else we got? So yeah, I know. Yeah. So outside, let's talk a little bit more of the music business stuff. So outside of particularly just your kind of project managing those things for the group, like you talked about. I know that you've worked with some international DJs, clearly a number of them, bringing them to San Francisco for Space Cowboys parties, and working with others in your Space Cowboys crew. And then Lady Wax, I know, is probably where you and I had the most conversations about just working on, getting the costs and all that right for something like that to be able to happen, both Miami, San Francisco, etc. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more. Maybe not so much about the dates. I don't know what you can or can't talk about, but just about, kind of the business end of it and some things that people watching who like the business end of things might, maybe just agreements and, managing things. I don't know. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I think this has definitely been a learning experience for me so my original idea was when I knew that you had approached me to help or to join this group for Miami, and I already sort of had the idea of bringing Wax to San Francisco. I thought, okay, well maybe I could use my network of other DJs in the sort of break space scene as well as Burning Man scene to try to get her some other gigs in other places. And so I, for the first time, tried to put together a little mini tour for Lady Wax, and I can say with absolute certainty that this is a very big learning experience for me. And I do corporate finance for a living, and so I like to be in spreadsheets all day, and so I kind of try to manage all of the tour stuff and everything in Miami in spreadsheets, and kind of a stickler in doing the budget and doing all the numbers in now I'm doing Google Docs with everybody. But I think for me, living in San Francisco has been what is that? Spreadsheets? Yeah.
It's a spreadsheet.
San Francisco is we definitely live in a little bit of a bubble where people here appreciate many kinds of music, and there's a large following for many Burning Man camps, many genres of music, mainstream and underground, and it's people are open to both, and it's not segregating. You don't have to really twist people's arms to go out, and everywhere you step there's going to be electronic music somewhere, and I think we're lucky in that sense. And so it's definitely learning how much of it is out there in other cities, and how much like a certain artist might be able to draw has been very interesting to me, because here in San Francisco we have a I don't know if you guys know, but Space Cowboys has a podcast called The Right Cast, and it's a weekly music podcast on like SoundCloud and iTunes, and we release our own Space Cowboys DJ sets as well as guest DJ sets from recordings live from our events, and so we have a very big listenership, and local and abroad, and around the country, and I think we have brought different genres of music to people, and also just exposing people to many kinds of different DJs around the world and around the country. And so I've always just assumed everybody liked all kind of music, and you could get 500 people to come to a party, and that's not necessarily true everywhere around the country. And so I think I've learned. I definitely met a lot of other promoters and people like club owners who are throwing parties, and I'm learning from them what they think is possible and what is a good business investment. And sometimes, from a genre perspective, breaks and bass is not mainstream enough, and I think that's
right.
harder for me to swallow, just because I live and breathe it here with the Cowboys and
right.
with the Space Cowboys in San Francisco. So yeah, but I also, it makes me appreciate, not only appreciate here, but also just being more open-minded about other genres, because that's what's working in other cities, and not necessarily breaks and bass in other cities like it is here.
Yeah. So one of the things, in addition to that I, which is why I had in part introduced you to all these people, and I thought it was a good mix, and then also some discussions you and I have had is, maybe a little bit more dry subject matter for a lot of people, but I brought it up last time with Gio, and maybe more his experience from the construction world and project management and these things, and I say it again because it's very broad, and for you, like with what I've watched is, there's a financial aspect to it, obviously, and helping people understand budgets, and helping people understand, potential profits and margins and these types of things, and those are sides of project management certainly that someone from a corporate finance or finance background can bring to the table. So I guess I'm throwing that out there because I do get a fair amount of questions. Usually they're directed to me about how to run a label, or how do you do marketing, or these kinds of things. And in the future, we'll be happy to try to bring some people on that have maybe those specialties, and or some that I've even worked with that have helped me learn. But each show, I at least try to pass on to some folks that might be interested in those kinds of questions, that financial management piece of it, and just getting a real clear understanding, like you're doing, Shooey, with that group, and just helping get them all on the same page, even if they have different understandings or different ways of doing things, and then really kind of harnessing the the ideas and energy of a bunch of people, instead of maybe just a bit more of a dictatorship, as is often a model sometimes the way things run. So from what I've seen, that's pretty cool, and I just think it's great to have that open-mindedness, I think, with people, and trying to put things together, and then also draw from the extended networks of all those people to help make the parties better.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting too because I think individually our groups, or the individuals in our group are used to having successful events on their own, and so it's a challenge to bring together people who are strong and are really good at what they do, but then to put it in a group setting where you kind of have to force people to come to consensus and to talk things through as opposed to just like making snap decisions. And then everybody has strengths, and in my case, my strength is in the numbers side and modeling out the budget and what ifs on expenses. And so I think one thing that I brought to the table was making sure that figuring out what everybody's goal was and making sure that we have a good idea of what our revenue is and what our expenses are. And so I know it sounds kind of nerdy and dry, but it definitely I don't think we could throw this party if we didn't know that there was the opportunity to actually, at a very minimum, break even. And that's, nobody wants to lose money on a party, and nobody wants. It's no different than you don't want to lose money. You don't want to overdraw on your checking account. So it's been a great learning experience for me too, because generally for Space Cowboys parties you have one leader and then you have everybody kind of help for specific parties, and in this case everybody kind of has to come together and hold hands and make a decision together, and it's helped me try to get people, like, I know how I think and how I come to my decisions, but I kind of have to explain that to others my way, and then other people have to do the same thing to me, and we have to all kind of come together and figure out what our final answer is going to be, and that isn't always the smoothest process, but
so if you had, without putting the answer in your mouth, if you had 3 things, say, that would be highly beneficial that you think from recent experience to people out there thinking about doing their own parties or just managing themselves or whatever, let's say along the lines of keeping things simple and efficient, right? Because there's not a lot of money, certainly in subgenres, and then maybe just in risk and parties anyway. There's not a ton of money to spend a lot of time wasted on back and forth and decision making, right? So what I know you have a couple of things that you've shared with me that are kind of like would be great if they flowed better. Like what might those things be?
I think one of them would definitely be if you have many people working in a group, you have one point of contact to have whoever you're working with, particularly on the outside, to come to. And I think that's really important because you don't want to have any mixed messages crossing lines and saying something different and not consistent with your other teammates. So having one single point of contact is really important. I think another thing is aligning what your goals are. If your goal is to break even, then as long as you can make as much as you spend, then you'll be fine. But if that's not everybody's goal, some people's goals are to make as much money as possible, which means to spend as little as possible. Then you kind of got to get everybody on the same page. And so if you don't do that, then all of your decisions, it makes it very difficult to get a consensus with the group. I think
along those lines, I was going to say, like, you could flip some of that around, because I know that a number of people that watch this will be in the artist shoes, not per se the party promoter shoes, but you can flip all this around, and as the artist, and or if you have a manager or you have an agent, etc., same rules, or same, I think, advice or good suggestions apply, to really know what you're trying to do, and just make sure that you go out with that clear, and chances are it's going to change, but just not to have a lot of confusing information out there.
I agree.
I think
clear objectives, basically.
Yeah, and goals. Yeah, like she was saying. So yeah. Cool.
I also think that it's important for people to not take it so seriously, and you just kind of you make a decision. You don't need to overthink everything, but make a call and be logical about it. Don't be emotional about it. Make decisions on facts. If I hear that I probably hear that from you. That advice from you most often, which is make decisions on facts, not on emotions. And I think
all that other stuff was you. I may make that comment a lot about emotion and managing things by fact. I mean, my team being here today and a couple other folks that I work with and confide in for marketing things and whatnot. I certainly constantly, aside from project management, I constantly preach to create first and then go talk about it. Which is basically a very simple way of saying have your plan, have your goals, have your ideas. And then go out and execute on it, but without just randomly stuff everywhere and information. That, I understand there's different values to different parts of randomness and building up ideas and building up hype. I get that. I'm a huge fight fan, in fact, so I have fun with watching that too, in the line of not taking things too serious. But I certainly think there's also some times where, certain things, it's just good to have it ready, done, kind of baked or baked and ready to take out of the oven and kind of thing. So
yep.
That's my 2 cents.
I'm with
Matthew Copper Pennies. Well, hey, while we're on all these life-changing types of discussions outside of music, the other one that I mentioned I wanted to ask you about, I really don't know much about it with you, but is kind of like you do your cycling and all these things, and then just I'm always curious about people's health and fitness. I know you cycle, but I also know you travel, so I'm also always curious, and I'd like to share how people stay in pretty good shape. You mentioned you're 40, but you're in great shape. So, like, how, just, I don't know, throw some tips. Throw some tips.
Well, I try to go to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. So I'm doing kind of boot camp like classes. I try to only eat meat when I eat out. So at home I don't cook meat. I don't eat a lot of junk food.
I think they try only to eat meat. I was like, wow, that's a great diet.
What's that term? What's the term for that?
It's a carne something. There's
what's the term for?
There's a diet that's only. Yeah.
It's the I don't want to say a fad, but what's the?
Oh,
what did you say?
Paleo. Yeah.
That's it.
No,
I'm not paleo, but I have some friends.
I'm definitely a girl of moderation, and I don't do very well with like doing some sort of fast because I'll just be hangry all the time, and nobody wants me to be.
Yeah.
And I do actually think that walking to work or biking to work or biking to your stuff, it makes a huge difference because that's like a guaranteed 30 to like 45 minutes of exercising you have every day. And so for me, biking to work and carrying it down the stairs and riding up some hills in San Francisco, it's not having that is I think makes a difference. If I didn't have that, there's a day where I'm kind of like feeling a little sluggish if I don't exercise, and that definitely is like my morning coffee when I'm riding to work. So I think.
Do you ride when it's snowing and stuff? Like, what do you do with the weather there? You just deal with that weather?
It's been raining because El Nino's kind of coming down hard, but normally you can pretty much ride all year round. I have really good solid rain gear that I ride rain or shine. So I'm riding even when it's dropping out. So I have some rain pants, I have some rubber boots, and I got a nice waterproof jacket. So it's just rain, won't kill you. So I definitely
think. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know you did that much during the week. It's more than I do. Like I feel pretty good about myself. It's more than I do, but I do have one contest for you because I run and you don't run like I do, and I don't like you do. So I have a contest for you, which is I wonder what do you know what the equivalent? I wonder who does more per week because my mileage on foot is 4 miles 4 or 5 days a week. So let's say I'll go on the light side, 16, and then I try to do 2 6s on the weekend, so 12, 28. So I'm in the 25 to, let's say, 30 range on foot. I wonder, is there some formula for that in bicycle, like dog years versus human years?
I go by calories because I can tell you yesterday I rode 2 hours and change, like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. Well, that was the elapsed time, and then we climbed about 2,200 feet of elevation cumulatively, and I think I burned about 700 something calories according to my computer. So
yeah, calorie consumption would be a good way.
Well, you being at a base level, me being male, you being female, there's some difference in calorie burn and its significance.
Probably,
yeah. But compared to a lot of things. But I burn when I run 6. I know that when I run 6, I do about 850.
Okay.
Is the calories.
Okay.
So
interestingly enough, yesterday I did 25 miles and I burned like 700 calories. But then if I ride like 60 to 70 miles, I might burn like 2,000. So at some point your body kind of plateaus in what it's burning because you just kind of all you're doing is you're eating to make up for what you're burning. So you're just kind of maintaining, and so you don't really burn a ton more. Well, I don't feel like.
At a certain point,
there's some your body starts to eat itself.
The first conservative is trying to save itself.
Mine says, I need ice cream. So
ice cream, look! I have my ice cream.
You did bring some. Is it melted?
She said
it's
she
melted
did.
Now, yeah. This is my favorite flavor, and they only make it November, December, January, and it's called Winter White Chocolate. It's Baskin Robbins. It's the only Baskin Robbins. It's a Baskin Robbins flavor. My mom had a Baskin Robbins when I was growing up for like 13 years.
Huh.
So I ate ice cream every day of my life that I lived at home.
And you worked there?
Huh? Where was that?
And you worked there?
And I worked there, yeah, all the way through high school and college. So I ate it every day, and if I didn't work, I'd be calling my brother. I'm like, hey, can you bring me a scoop of ice cream home? So I never really went without it. And then my job before my last job, I worked at Dreyer's Ice Cream. So I ate ice cream every day, sometimes twice a day at work. So ice cream is in my blood, and I can't really get away from it. But this ice cream, because it's seasonal, I only get three months out of the year. There's only one Baskin Robbins store in San Francisco, and I walk in the door.
What's that place you took me when I was there?
Oh, that's the best place. It's called Mr. and Mrs. Miscellaneous. Mr.
and Mrs. Miscellaneous?
That is the best ice cream in the city. No doubt. No question.
Hold on 1 second. This is worth this is worth the wait for anybody who's still managed to hang with us on our shenanigans here. Yeah, I think this is the spot. Is this the spot, Shooey?
That's it. Yep. That's it.
Yeah, free advertising. I'm just using public photos here. Place is awesome. I don't know the whole story, but unfortunately for anybody that's on the phone that might by chance be a raving, as in rave music, a health nut, maybe lactose intolerant, let's just say, they'll be like, so Shooey takes me there, and it's not the best. So, but what I will add along ice cream notes is that I've definitely found some super awesome soy or coconut milk based ice creams, and they do not bother me like dairy does. So for anybody out there that has that dairy thing going on, go find the coconut ones. Trader Joe's, whatever. So
I tried the strawberry coconut milk one, and it wasn't creamy enough for me.
I don't and in particular, I don't like that one.
Lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Oh, chocolate? I mean, there's this one called, I don't know, it's called, Galactic Mint. That's it. That's the flavor, Galactic Mint, and it's made with a coconut milk base. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I'm not even going to get into, what else I put on it, because it just would ruin the opinion of anybody that thought we might be remotely healthy people in music. And
that's why they're watching.
I'm getting all excited. It's exactly why they're watching, for the last 15 minutes of health tips.
Great.
Right?
Now I need ice cream.
They want to know that Jen dances 7 hours a week. Kelly rides her bike 14, 15 miles, whatever. I run 23.
Kayak
100.
I'm the only one who have a Fitbit thing though, measuring my calorie intake or whatever.
Don't do it. Don't do it. That's the one thing I won't.
Obsession.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
I was have a obsession. Start watching it all the time.
You're fine. You're all great people, and you're healthy. Go to the doctor once a year, get a physical, and just do whatever they say. That's pretty good. Well, I have. How are we on time? Do we have a timekeeper today?
No time. It's 10:07.
We're probably close to an hour, but we're probably close to an hour, and so I said we'll try to work around that range. Although we really, again, I'll say it. It's kind of interesting if you tune in and watch this live or later. The tool tells us we can go for up to 8 hours. So I don't know if we're ever going to do that, but maybe one day we'll have a series of guests that have already been on, and they can all come over here and mix for 8 hours.
Performing live from Burning Man.
That would be variety. So, Shooey, my last story that I have two things to break in for you. One is simply an internet quiz to show how dialed in and awesome we are with social media. What does #EntreLife mean to you?
Oh man, you're gonna bring that up. So when I was newly single 2 years ago, and I had a girlfriend call my. I can't believe I'm saying this in public. Call my people that I was not committed to side salad. So
There's strictly definition and hashtags. Use them, folks.
Coleslaw.
Yeah, so coleslaw. Yeah. So the other day, I didn't go out because I decided to stay in. And for the record, I don't have any side salads, and I've moved on from side salads, and I have a nice new guy now. And Wes, his new moniker was the entree. And so I didn't go out on Saturday night, and I was kind of being a homebody. And so he texted me. He's like, #EntreLife. I'm saying that beats side salad life any day.
Hey, oh, that's very nice. Do you have I don't know. You can say anything you want about #EntreLife, but
#EntreLife is much nicer than side salad life. And yeah, he's probably going to hear this later, so he's probably going to either kill me or laugh at me, or both.
Awesome. What's up, bro? If you watch it. So my other story, I was almost going to shed a tear, Jenny. Almost going to shed a tear. Well, I will say along those lines, because I joked with that because I'm part of the #EntreLife hashtag. So so that's why it was even funnier, I guess, between us. But when I was there in San Francisco one other time, I guess it wasn't when I played, but I was there. Oh, I was there for a PlayStation conference, right? And we got together with my buddy Dave, and we went out. And I will say, I'm like on computers all the time, very savvy, and obviously working in music and all these things, in this fine system we have going here. But we were eating like, I don't know, hot pot, for lack of the right term, hot pot.
Korean barbecue.
And I like hot pot, but we were eating Korean barbecue. And then you and Dave, like I don't know, like for 15 minutes you start comparing dating apps or something. And I knew about a couple of them, but
Dave
I'm clearly not on them. They're not on the phone.
On the spot.
So going back in time, what was your favorite dating app? You don't need them anymore, but what was your favorite?
I do.
I'm saying, some people watching need some dating app tips.
I think the easiest was probably like Hinge and Tinder because they're just literally a swipe left or right. But the response rate is not very high, or else you're getting like these random requests for other things.
It's like more entertaining than it is actually.
Less than side salad.
Like even less than side salad, yeah, like the dressing.
Croutons.
The curtains, that's it.
Cut me off.
Oh, wow, this I didn't intend for this to go south that fast, but
you asked.
Alas. Okay, well,
so
fine.
How'd you meet your current guy? How'd you meet your entree then?
A friend of a friend, which is how I wish that's how I'd met someone, because if you can vouch for your friends, and that's the best way to meet people, because you have a little bit in common, and you're going to meet in person as opposed to online. This online
Psycho
that
killer.
chemistry thing is really hard.
Right.
Really hard. So
that's dating. That's dating tips from not only Shooey but Jen, and some some nods of approval from Kelly Ross, Agent 137. So,
No, I didn't.
Just dating tips.
Yeah, exactly. So
I can tell you what not to do.
different episode, Jen. Different episode, different channel. My last story that I'd like to share, which was quite fun, and I don't know if you have another story, but the one that involves a few of us, other than just you and I here, was at Burning Man. I can't forget, like. So am I allowed to tell how you ended up going there? Can I tell that? In terms of the job.
Yeah, you can tell it.
You tell it.
Please do.
You want me to tell it?
Yep.
I'll make it really short. So
okay, you make it short, because I'll take it too long.
Well, I don't know if I should say that, because if people watching are like, "What are you talking about, dude? You never make anything short." you're like the guy that explains how the clock is freaking manufactured before you just say it's 7:30. Anyway, aside from that, my engineering tendencies. So I'm going to Burning Man second time, and I got more gigs lined up this time. Camp Charlie, Slut Garden, fun stuff, right? And whatnot. And I'm like, "Sure, are you going?" Because I know she's been all these years and plays a lot, whatever. We just have fun. And then Kelly was coming along with Camp Charlie as well. So we're all there. We're set. We're driven up. And basically, to the very last minute, if you haven't been to Burning Man, for the most part, it's still this way. Like, once you're on your way in, you pretty much lose connectivity to, like, cell service and any Wi-Fi. And even if you don't lose it, like, right when you're going in, by the time enough people come in, you definitely have problems. Yep. You know, so you pretty much lose touch for the most part without a lot of inconvenience, you know, to go to one of the established few emergency places or something. So anyway, you lose touch with Shooey. So a couple of days goes by, early entry, we're there, and we didn't really hear from her after that. And then she shows up, and she's like, "Well, my job wouldn't let me go, so I quit." And I was like, and I don't want to oversimplify this story. I mean, there's anyone who's worked in jobs knows there's always more. But without getting into that, it was just very interesting that she did come, and that was the more exciting part. And then getting to the story part was not centered around how she ended up getting the time to come, but she was there. We hung out one day, Kelly, myself, Shooey, and some others, and then it ended up being the dustiest day of the week by all.
It was bad.
It wasn't dusty.
So
it was a storm.
Yeah. So we decide about, I don't know, one or two, after a few good Paloma drinks that I made, maybe a shot or two. We decide that we're going to pedal on around. We're like 8th and maybe E, so we pedal on around the rest of the circle or semicircle there, the city, get to the end, and we decide we're all just going to put our feet up on our bicycles and see where the wind blows us.
That's what you said. We did decide that.
This is right.
That. Yeah.
Everybody does it. So we're doing this with our feet up on our bikes, you know, up at our whatever. Can't see anything. We're blowing across the playa desert, and out of nowhere, we're all joking and laughing, can't see each other, trying not to hit each other, and out of nowhere, we're like, it's an oasis.
An oasis. It was an oasis.
It was
and
not.
It was an oasis. It was an oasis art comp.
A palm tree oasis with water on it. In the middle of
the with water on it. And we show up, there's a few people hanging downstairs. We go upstairs to chill and get out of the dust because it had like a double-decker bus top where you could stay out of the wind. And there's like these people chilling there. And that's like a whole other story for another day. They were talking to us about being Sherpas at a Burning Man camp and all that stuff, remember? So
that's cool.
That was good times.
Well,
it was kind of fun.
You forgot the
I
part
hijacked your story.
where we
Anything
went
to add to that?
down and took a break, and then you fed me too many Palomas, and I took a little nap on that bus.
That is true.
It's an oasis. It was nap time.
Kelly may or may not have taken a picture of me resting my eyes.
I didn't share.
That is totally true.
Listen,
so cool.
Listen, we all took naps on an oasis in Burning Man at some point. So all good, girl. It was good to
work with early access. The rest of it was just one big nap. Yeah, but an awesome time nonetheless. So cool. We're saying we're gonna try to wrap it up in an hour. I don't know if you have anything else you want to share. It's been an awesome conversation. Good times.
Thank you for having me. It was a fun time.
We will see you in Miami.
Yes, very soon.
You bet. And hey, before you hang up, we have our final sign out line. It's unofficial, but we've kind of done it, and we didn't tell you about it, so we probably have to do it twice again. I'll count it off, and you can join in on us. So, 3, 2, 1. Stay classy, yo. Yeah. We have to do it again. We messed it up with Gio too. Okay. 3, 2.
Get Gio on there. Unmute.
All right, Jenny. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks.
Stay classy, yo.
All right, bye.